Tyler James Carter, after reviewing the evidence presented in this matter, including the circumstances discussed during these proceedings, this court sentences you to 7 years in juvenile detention with the possibility of release at age 20, contingent upon good behavior. This sentence is imposed in accordance with
7 years? I was just trying to stop it.
June 15th, 2014, was Father's Day. In Bakersfield, California, the temperature hovered at 98 degrees, typical for mid-June in Kern County. The sun beat down mercilessly on the modest single-story homes of the East Bakersfield neighborhood, a working-class area where families struggled to make ends meet and everyone knew everyone else's business. At 2847 Fairview Road, a small tan house with peeling paint and an overgrown, the Carter family was not celebrating Father's Day. They never did. Because Father's Day, like every other day in the Carter household, was filled with tension, fear, and the ever-present threat of violence. Marcus Anthony Carter, 38, sat in his recliner in the living room, drinking his 6th beer of the afternoon. The television blared a baseball game, Dodgers versus Giants, but Marcus wasn't really watching. He was brooding, his jaw clenched, his eyes glazed with that look his family had learned to fear. In the kitchen, Angela Carter, 36, prepared dinner, pork chops, mashed potatoes, green beans, moving quietly, efficiently, trying not to make any sound that might trigger her husband's rage. Her left eye was still slightly swollen from 3 days ago, when Marcus had backhanded her across the face for talking back. She'd covered the bruising with makeup, as she always did. And in the small bedroom at the end of the hallway, 13-year-old Tyler James Carter sat on his bed, earbuds in, trying to drown out the sound of his father yelling at the television. Tyler was small for his age, barely 5 feet tall, thin, with sandy brown hair and dark circles under his eyes that made him look perpetually exhausted, which he was. Living in the Carter house was exhausting. Tyler's room was his sanctuary. The walls were covered with posters of basketball players, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant. There was a small bookshelf filled with worn paperbacks, Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, The Hunger Games, a desk with school books, and a notebook where Tyler wrote stories and drew pictures, escape fantasies where he wasn't Tyler Carter from the house on Fairview Road, but someone else, somewhere else, anywhere else. On his nightstand, tucked under a stack of comics, was something that didn't belong, a .38 special revolver. Take it anymore. But Tyler was still deciding, still hoping that maybe somehow today would be different. That maybe his father would wake up sober and apologetic and say, "Son, I'm sorry. I'm going to get help. Things are going to change." That's not what happened. The family history. Tyler James Carter was born on March 3, 2001, at Kern Medical Center in Bakersfield, California. He was a quiet baby. His mother would later tell investigators, he didn't cry much. It was almost as if he knew even then that crying in the Carter household would only bring trouble. Marcus Anthony Carter was born in 1976 in Fresno, California. He grew up in poverty, the son of an alcoholic father and a mother who worked 3 jobs to keep food on the table. Marcus dropped out of high school at 16, got his GED, and bounced between construction jobs, warehouse work, and long stretches of unemployment. He met Angela Morrison in 1998 at a bar in Bakersfield. She was 20 years old, working as a waitress, trying to save money for community college. Marcus was 22, charming when he wanted to be, with a quick smile and easy laugh. Angela fell hard. They were married 6 months later. The abuse started almost immediately. It began with verbal attacks. "You're stupid. You're worthless. No one else would ever want you." Then it escalated to pushing, shoving, grabbing. By the time Tyler was born in 2001, Marcus was hitting Angela regularly, always where the bruises wouldn't show. Angela stayed because she had nowhere else to go. Her parents had disowned her when she married Marcus. She had no college degree, no savings, no support system. And Marcus told her, over and over, "If you leave, I'll find you. I'll kill you. And I'll take Tyler." She believed him. Tyler grew up in chaos. His earliest memory, which he would later describe to a court-appointed psychologist, was of being 4 years old and hiding under his bed while his father beat his mother in the kitchen. He remembered the sound of dishes breaking, his mother crying, his father shouting. He remembered holding a stuffed dinosaur and squeezing his eyes shut, wishing he could disappear. Don't cry, no matter what. Rule #4. Don't tell anyone outside the family what happens inside the house. Tyler followed the rules. He was a good kid. Teachers described him as quiet, polite, hard-working. He never got in trouble at school. He had a few friends, but he never invited them to his house. He made excuses. My mom's not feeling well. My dad works nights, so it's too noisy. No one pushed. But the teachers saw signs. Bruises on Tyler's arms that he claimed were from falling off his bike. A black eye, in 2nd grade, that he said was from running into a door. Absences. Sometimes Tyler would miss a week of school at a time, and Angela would call in saying he had the flu or a stomach bug. In 2009, when Tyler was 8 years old, a teacher reported suspected abuse to Child Protective Services. A social worker came to the house, interviewed Tyler and Angela separately, took photographs of the home. Marcus was charming. He explained that he worked hard, that money was tight, that sometimes he and Angela argued, but it was never serious. Angela corroborated his story, her eyes downcast, her voice shaking slightly. Tyler, when asked if anyone heard him at home, said no. He had learned rule #4 well. The case was closed. The beating Tyler received that night, after the social worker left, was the worst he'd experienced up to that point. Marcus used his belt. Tyler couldn't sit comfortably for a week. "You ever tell anyone anything about this family again," Marcus hissed, "and I'll make you wish you were never born." Tyler believed him. The escalation, 2012 to 2014. By 2012, when Tyler was 11, the violence had become routine. Marcus drank every day, starting in the late morning, continuing through dinner, passing out on the couch around 10 p.m. When he was drunk, he was angry. And when he was angry, someone had to pay. Usually, it was Angela. But increasingly, it was Tyler too. Sometimes with fists. Sometimes with Marcus's belt. Once, when Tyler accidentally broke a glass, Marcus grabbed him by the throat and slammed him against the wall, cutting off his air until Tyler's vision went dark, and Angela screamed for Marcus to stop. At school, Tyler retreated further into himself. He stopped participating in class. He stopped raising his hand. His grades dropped from A's and B's to C's and D's. His teachers noticed, but attributed it to typical preteen struggles. No one saw the full picture. At home, Tyler began fantasizing about escape. He would lie in bed at night, imagining running away, hopping on a bus, going to Los Angeles, starting over. But he couldn't leave his mother. She needed him, and he was terrified of what Marcus would do if he left. So he stayed. In 2013, when Tyler was 12, something inside him began to shift. The fear was still there, but underneath it was something else. Anger. Rage, even. He started having violent thoughts, imagining fighting back, imagining hurting his father the way his father hurt him. He wrote in his journal, in entries he hid under his mattress, "I hate him. I wish he would just die. Sometimes I think about what it would be like if he wasn't here. Mom and I could be happy. If I was bigger, I'd make him stop. But I'm too small. He'd kill me." Tyler began researching online, using the school library computers because he didn't have internet at home. He searched, "How to defend yourself against an adult? Can a kid go to jail for killing someone? What is self-defense?" He read stories about kids who had killed abusive parents. Some were convicted. Some were acquitted. Some got sympathy. Some were vilified. Tyler wondered which category he would fall into. The weeks before Father's Day 2014. In the weeks leading up to Father's Day 2014, the violence in the Carter household reached a new level. On May 28, Marcus lost his job as a foreman at a construction site. He'd been drinking on the job, and his supervisor finally had enough. When Marcus came home that day, drunk and furious, he took his rage out on Angela. Marcus turned, his eyes wild. "What did you say to me?" "I said, leave her alone. She didn't do anything." Marcus grabbed Tyler by the front of his shirt and threw him across the room. Tyler hit the wall hard, his head cracking against the plaster. Everything went blurry for a moment. When his vision cleared, he saw his mother crawling toward him, crying. "Tyler, baby, are you okay?" Marcus stood over both of them. "Both of you pathetic. Can't even stand up to me." That night, after Marcus passed out, Angela held Tyler in the bathroom while she cleaned the blood from the back of his head. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry, baby. I don't know how to fix this." "We should leave," Tyler said. "We can't. He'd find us. Then we should call the police." "They won't believe us. They never do." Tyler said nothing, but something hardened inside him that night. A decision crystallizing, though he didn't yet know it. On June 10th, 5 days before Father's Day, Marcus came home drunk at 2 a.m. and decided to teach Tyler a lesson for leaving dishes in the sink. He dragged Tyler out of bed, threw him to the floor, and kicked him in the ribs. Angela tried to intervene, and Marcus backhanded her across the face so hard she fell and hit her head on the dresser. Tyler, lying on the floor, gasping for air, looked at his father and thought, "One of us is going to die soon. And it's not going to be me." The next day, June 11th, Tyler went into his parents' bedroom while Marcus was passed out and opened the closet. On the top shelf, inside a shoebox, was Marcus's gun, a .38 special revolver that Marcus had bought years ago for home protection. Tyler had seen it before, had been warned never to touch it. Tyler reached up, took the gun, and held it in his hands. It was heavier than he expected. He checked to see if it was loaded. It was. 6 bullets. Tyler put the gun back in the box and closed the closet door. But now he knew where it was. On June 14th, the day before Father's Day, Tyler wrote in his journal, "Tomorrow is Father's Day. I'm supposed to give my dad a card or something. But I don't have a dad. I have a monster living in my house." His decision. It was Father's Day, and Tyler James Carter was going to give his father a gift he'd never forget. The shooting. June 15th, 2014, 5:47 p.m. The afternoon of Father's Day 2014 unfolded like every other day in the Carter household, which is to say, badly. Marcus had started drinking at noon. By 2 p.m., he'd finished a 6-pack of Budweiser. By 4 p.m., he'd moved on to whiskey. He sat in his recliner in the living room, the television blaring, his mood growing darker with each drink. Angela tried to stay out of his way. She cleaned the kitchen, folded laundry, did everything quietly, efficiently, invisibly. Tyler stayed in his room, door closed, pretending to do homework, but actually sitting on his bed, staring at the wall, his mind racing. The gun was hidden in his closet now, wrapped in a towel, pushed to the back behind his winter clothes. Tyler had retrieved it from his father's closet that morning while Marcus slept off the previous night's binge. Tyler's hands had shaken as he carried it to his room. He'd nearly dropped it twice. He told himself he was just holding on to it. Just in case. Just in case. He didn't know if he would actually use it. But deep down, he knew. He'd known since June 10th, when his father kicked him in the ribs, and he'd lain on the floor thinking, this has to end. At 5:15 p.m., Angela called Tyler for dinner. Tyler emerged from his room and walked down the hallway to the kitchen. The house smelled like pork chops and dish soap. His mother stood at the stove, her back to him, shoulders hunched in that defensive posture she always held when Marcus was drinking. "Is he in a bad mood?" Tyler asked quietly. Angela didn't turn around. "When isn't he?" Tyler sat at the kitchen table. Through the doorway, he could see Marcus in the living room, still in his recliner, eyes glazed, jaw clenched. The baseball game was over. Now Marcus was watching a news program, but Tyler could tell he wasn't paying attention. Marcus was in his own head, brooding, working himself up to something. Angela brought plates to the table, pork chops, mashed potatoes, green beans. She called out, "Marcus, dinner's ready." No response. "Marcus, food's on the table." "I heard you the first time," Marcus snapped. "I'll eat when I'm ready." Angela exchanged a glance with Tyler. "Not good." He sat down heavily at the head of the table, looked at his plate and said, "This meat is dry." Angela's voice was careful, placating. "I can make you something else if you want." "I said the meat is dry. You overcook everything." "I'm sorry. You're sorry." Marcus laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You're always sorry. Sorry for being a terrible cook. Sorry for being a terrible wife. Sorry for giving me a useless kid." Tyler stared at his plate. "Don't react. Don't say anything. Just let him finish eating and go back to his chair." But Marcus wasn't finished. "You know what today is?" Marcus asked, looking at Angela. "Father's Day," Angela said quietly. "That's right, Father's Day. And you know what my wife and my son got me? Nothing. Not a card, not a gift, nothing." "Marcus, I didn't know you didn't know I wanted my family to acknowledge me on Father's Day. What kind of disrespectful?" Marcus slammed his fist on the table. The plates jumped. Tyler flinched. Angela tried to de-escalate. "I'm sorry. We should have." "Damn right you should have." Marcus turned to Tyler. "And you? What do you have to say?" Tyler looked up. His father's eyes were bloodshot, unfocused. "Dangerous." "Happy Father's Day," Tyler said quietly. "Happy Father's Day," Marcus repeated mockingly. "You think I don't know what you think of me? You think I can't see the way you look at me? Like I'm some kind of monster? I don't. Don't lie to me, boy. You hate me. You and your mother both. You sit here in my house, eating my food, and you disrespect me." "I'm not disrespecting you," Tyler said, his voice shaking slightly. "I'm just trying to eat dinner." "You talking back to me?" "No, I'm just—" Marcus stood up, his chair scraping loudly against the linoleum floor. "You were talking back to me. After everything I've done for you, put a roof over your head, food on the table. And this is how you repay me?" Angela stood too, positioning herself between Marcus and Tyler. "Marcus, please, he's just a kid. He didn't mean anything. Get out of my way." "Marcus," I said, "get out of my way." Marcus shoved Angela aside. She stumbled, caught herself on the counter. Marcus grabbed Tyler by the front of his shirt and yanked him out of his chair. "Marcus, let him go." Angela grabbed Marcus's arm, trying to pull him off Tyler. Marcus released Tyler with one hand and backhanded Angela with the other. She fell, hard, her head cracking against the edge of the kitchen counter. She crumpled to the floor, dazed, blood trickling from a cut above her eyebrow. Tyler saw red. Not figuratively. Literally. His vision went red at the edges, his heart pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. He looked at his mother on the floor, bleeding. He looked at his father, looming over both of them. And something inside Tyler broke. Or maybe it didn't break. Maybe it finally, after 13 years, came together. Tyler pulled free from his father's grip and ran. Not out the front door. Not to a neighbor's house. He ran to his bedroom. Marcus followed, shouting, "You think you can run from me? Get back here." Tyler reached his closet, yanked open the door, grabbed the towel-wrapped bundle from the back. His hands were shaking so badly he almost dropped it. Marcus appeared in the doorway. "What do you think you're doing?" Tyler unwrapped the towel. The .38 Special gleamed dully in the overhead light. Marcus stopped. For the first time in Tyler's memory, His father's expression changed from rage to something else. Fear. What's that? Tyler, Marcus said, his voice suddenly quieter, more careful. Put the gun down. No, thought you should be there. Tyler, I'm your father. Put it down. You're not my father. Fathers don't do this. Fathers don't hurt their families. Marcus took a step into the room. Give me the gun, Tyler. Stay back. Tyler. I said, stay back. Tyler raised the gun. His hands were shaking so badly he could barely hold it steady. He'd never fired a gun before. He didn't know if he could pull the trigger. But he knew he couldn't live like this anymore. Marcus took another step forward. You don't have the guts to... Later, Tyler wouldn't remember making the decision to pull the trigger. He wouldn't remember aiming. He would only remember the deafening bang, the way the gun kicked back in his hands, the ringing in his ears. Shot me. Tyler stood frozen, the gun still raised. Marcus staggered, tried to take a step toward Tyler, then collapsed to his knees. You shot me. Another moment of silence. Then Marcus fell forward onto his face. Tyler stood there, the gun trembling in his hands, staring at his father's body on the floor. From the kitchen, he heard his mother screaming. The 911 call. 5:47 p.m. Angela Carter burst into Tyler's bedroom and saw her husband lying on the floor, blood pooling beneath him. She saw her son standing in the corner, holding the gun, his face white with shock. Oh my God. Oh my God. Tyler, what did you do? Tyler couldn't speak. He couldn't move. He stood there, staring, the gun hanging loose in his hand. Angela knelt beside Marcus, checked for a pulse. He's still breathing. Tyler, he's still alive. Tyler said nothing. Tyler. Angela's voice was sharp, panicked. Put the gun down. We need to call 911. Tyler slowly lowered the gun. Angela rushed forward, took it from him, and set it on the dresser. Then she grabbed Tyler's face in her hands. Tyler, look at me. Look at me. Tyler's eyes focused on his mother. We need to call an ambulance. Do you understand? Tyler nodded slowly. Angela pulled her cell phone from her pocket and dialed 911. Her hands were shaking so badly, she almost couldn't press the buttons. 911 call transcript date, June 15, 2014. Time, 5:49 p.m. Caller. Angela Carter location, 2847 Fairview Road, Bakersfield, California. Dispatcher, 911. What's your emergency? Angela, crying. My husband's been shot. He's bleeding. Oh God, there's so much blood. Dispatcher, ma'am, what's your address? Angela, 2847 Fairview Road. By. Please, you have to send someone. He's going to die. Dispatcher, who shot him? Angela, all seconds, my son. My son shot him. Dispatcher, your son? How old is your son? Angela, 13. He's 13 years old. Dispatcher, where is your son now? Okay, I have police and paramedics on the way. They'll be there in less than 5 minutes. Is your husband conscious? Angela, checking. I don't know. He's breathing, but he's not responding. Marcus, can you hear me? To dispatcher, he's not answering. Dispatcher, where was he shot? Angela, in the chest. The left side. There's so much blood. Dispatcher, I need you to apply pressure to the wound. Can you do that? Angela, sounds of movement, okay? Okay, I'm doing it. Tyler, get me a towel. Tyler. Dispatcher, ma'am, is your son okay? Angela, he's in shock. He's just standing there. Tyler, honey, can you hear me? To dispatcher, he's not responding. I think he's in shock. Dispatcher, that's okay. Just focus on your husband. Keep pressure on the wound. Help is almost there. Angela, crying, this is all my fault. I should have protected him. I should have gotten us out of here. Dispatcher. Ma'am. What do you mean? Angela. My husband, Marcus, he's been abusing us. For years. He hits me. He hits Tyler. Tyler was just defending himself. He was just trying to protect me. Dispatcher. Ma'am, you can explain everything to the officers when they arrive. Right now, just focus on keeping your husband alive. Can you do that? Angela. Sobbing, I'm trying. I'm trying. Dispatcher. I can hear sirens. Do you hear them? Angela. Faintly. Yes. Yes. I hear them. Dispatcher. Good. They're almost there. Stay on the line with me. Angela. Okay. Dispatcher. Ma'am, I need you to make sure the front door is unlocked so paramedics can get in quickly. Angela. Tyler. Tyler. Go unlock the front door. Pause, Tyler. Sound of footsteps. Dispatcher. Is your son going to unlock the door? Angela. Yes. He's doing it now. Sound of loud knocking. Dispatcher. That's the police and paramedics. They're coming in now. Angela. Calling out, we're in the back bedroom. Hurry. Oh. Dispatcher. Ma'am, the responders are there. I'm going to let you go now. They'll take care of you. Angela. Okay. Thank you. Call ends. Duration. 4 minutes, 27 seconds. The first responders. Bakersfield police officers. David Hernandez and Jennifer Cole were the first through the door at 5:52 p.m., followed seconds later by paramedics from Kern County Fire Department Station 1 Ty. Officer Hernandez is calling from the back of the house. In here! Please hurry! We moved down the hallway and entered the rear bedroom. The scene was one of the most difficult scenes I've encountered. There was a male subject lying face down on the floor, bleeding heavily from a gunshot wound to the chest. A female subject, later identified as Angela Carter, was kneeling beside him, applying pressure to the wound with a towel that was completely soaked with blood. Standing in the corner of the room was a juvenile male, later identified as Tyler James Carter, age 13 to Y. He was approximately 5 feet tall, maybe 90 pounds, wearing jeans and a t-shirt that had blood spatter on it. He was staring at the wall, not moving, not speaking. His eyes were open, but he appeared to be in shock. On the dresser, approximately 3 feet from where Tyler was standing, was a .38 special revolver. I immediately secured the weapon while my partner, Officer Cole, attended to the juvenile. The paramedics moved in to treat the victim. Paramedic Luis Gomez took over care of Marcus Carter. The patient was a 38-year-old male with a single gunshot wound to the left chest, approximately 2 inches below the clavicle. He was semi-conscious, breathing but labored. Heart rate was elevated. Blood pressure was dropping. Signs of hypovolemic shock from blood loss. We applied a trauma dressing, started 2 large-bore FORVs, administered oxygen, and prepared for immediate transport. The wound appeared to have penetrated the left lung, possibly the heart. This was a life-threatening injury requiring immediate surgical intervention. We had him on the gurney and out the door in less than 4 minutes. As paramedics rushed Marcus to the ambulance, Officer Cole approached Tyler. Tyler, she said gently, crouching down to his eye level. Tyler, can you hear me? Tyler's eyes moved to her face, but he didn't speak. I'm Officer Cole. I need to talk to you, okay? Are you hurt? Tyler shook his head slightly. Okay, that's good. Tyler, I need to understand what happened here. Can you tell me? Tyler's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Examining the scene, looked at Angela. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to come with me. We need to ask you some questions. Am I under arrest? No, ma'am, but we need to understand what happened here. Angela stood, looked at Tyler. It's okay, baby. Just tell them the truth. Tell them what your father did to us. Officer Cole stayed with Tyler, while Officer Hernandez escorted Angela to the living room. 2 more police units had arrived. along with a supervisor, Sergeant Michael Torres. Sergeant Torres assessed the situation quickly. A juvenile shooter, a critically injured victim, a domestic violence allegation. This was going to be complicated. He approached Tyler, who was now sitting on the edge of the bed, Officer Cole beside him. "Tyler," Sergeant Torres said, "my name is Sergeant Torres. I know you've been through something very traumatic, but I need to ask you some questions. Before I do that, I need to read you your rights. Do you understand?" Tyler nodded. "You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. Do you understand these rights?" "Yes," Tyler whispered. It was the first word he'd spoken since the shooting. "Okay, Tyler, I need to know. Did you shoot your father?" "Yes." "Why?" Tyler's eyes filled with tears. "Because he was going to kill my mom. And then he was going to kill me." "Had he threatened you?" "He threatened us every day. He hurt us every day. For my whole life." Sergeant Torres exchanged a glance with Officer Cole. If this was true, if there was a documented history of abuse, this case was going to be very different from a typical shooting. "Tyler, I need you to come with us to the police station so we can talk more, okay? We need to understand everything that happened." "Am I going to jail?" "Right now, you're being taken into custody. But we're going to figure out what happened, and we're going to make sure you're safe. Okay?" Tyler nodded. As Officer Cole escorted Tyler out of the bedroom, he looked back once at the bloodstain on the floor where his father had fallen. He didn't feel regret. He felt relief. Just below the left clavicle, passed through the upper lobe of his left lung, nicked the pulmonary artery, and lodged in his spine at the T4 vertebra. Dr. Sarah Patel, the trauma surgeon on duty, later testified about Marcus's condition. The patient arrived in critical condition, having lost approximately 40% of his blood volume. The gunshot wound had caused a hemothorax, blood filling the left chest cavity, and had compromised his breathing. We intubated immediately and rushed him to surgery. The surgery lasted 4 hours. We repaired the damage to the lung and the pulmonary artery. However, the bullet had fractured the T4 vertebra and damaged the spinal cord. We were able to stabilize him, but the prognosis for neurological function was poor. Marcus Carter survived, but he would never walk again. The bullet had severed his spinal cord, leaving him paralyzed from the chest down. When he woke up in the ICU 3 days later, the first thing he asked the nurse was, "Where's my son?" The nurse, uncomfortable, said, "I'll get the doctor." When Dr. Patel arrived, Marcus asked again, "My son, Tyler, where is he?" Dr. Patel chose her words carefully. "Mr. Carter, Tyler's in juvenile custody. He's been charged with attempted murder." Marcus stared at the ceiling for a long moment. Then he said, "He shot me." "Yes." "Is he okay?" Dr. Patel was surprised by the question. "Physically, yes. He wasn't injured." "Good," Marcus said. Then he closed his eyes and said nothing else. Over the next several days, as Marcus recovered in the ICU, detectives attempted to interview him. Marcus refused to speak to them. He refused to press charges. He refused to cooperate in any way. Detective Lisa Chen, the lead investigator on the case, found this puzzling. In her 20 years of law enforcement experience, she'd never seen a shooting victim refuse to cooperate, unless the victim knew he deserved it.
Photographed and placed in an interview room, a small windowless space with a metal table, 3 chairs, and a camera mounted in the corner. Detective Lisa Chen and her partner, Detective Robert Hayes, had been working the case for less than an hour, but already they could sense this wasn't a typical juvenile homicide. The mother's 911 call had mentioned abuse. The responding officers had observed Angela Carter's injuries, the fresh cut above her eyebrow, the fading bruises on her arms, the way she flinched when officers approached her. And then there was Tyler himself, small for 13, skinny, with dark circles under his eyes and scars on his arms that looked suspiciously like they'd come from a belt. Before interviewing Tyler, Detective Chen spoke with Angela Carter, who had been brought to the police station separately. Angela sat in another interview room, her hands still stained with her husband's blood despite having washed them 3 times. Detective Hayes sat across from her, a legal pad in front of him. "Mrs. Carter," Detective Hayes began, "I need you to tell me everything that happened today." Angela took a shaky breath. "Marcus, my husband, he came home drunk. He's always drunk. He got angry about dinner, about Father's Day, about everything. He started yelling at Tyler. Then he grabbed Tyler by the shirt. I tried to stop him, and he hit me. I fell, and Tyler ran to his room. And then I heard Marcus chasing him. Then I heard a gunshot. Just one. When you got to Tyler's room, what did you see? Marcus was on the floor. Tyler was holding the gun. He looked like he was in shock, like he couldn't believe what he'd done. Had Tyler ever threatened to hurt his father before? Angela shook her head. No, never. Tyler's not a violent kid. He's quiet, he's gentle. But Marcus has been hurting us for years. And I think Tyler just couldn't take it anymore. Can you tell me about the abuse?
The time she'd gone to the emergency room with accidents, a broken wrist from falling downstairs, a concussion from slipping in the shower. Detective Hayes took notes, his expression grim. "Mrs. Carter, why didn't you leave? Where would I go? I don't have money. I don't have family. And Marcus always said if I left, he'd find me. He'd kill me." Angela's voice broke. "I believed him. What about Tyler? You could have left to protect your son." Angela's face crumpled. I know I should have, but I was scared. And I kept thinking, maybe it'll get better. Maybe it'll get better. Maybe Marcus will change. Maybe, she sobbed. I failed my son. I should have protected him. Mrs. Carter, did Tyler plan to shoot his father? Did he talk about it beforehand? No, I don't think so. I mean, Tyler said he hated his father. But what kid wouldn't, living like we did? But I never heard him say he wanted to hurt him. I think it was just, in that moment, Marcus was going to hurt us, and Tyler snapped. Detective Hayes made a note. Possible self-defense. Need to verify abuse history. Meanwhile, in the other interview room, Detective Lisa Chen sat down across from Tyler. She was 42 years old, a mother of 2 teenagers herself. She'd worked juvenile cases for 10 years, and she'd seen a lot: gang violence, drug abuse, sexual assault. But something about Tyler's case felt different. The kid sitting across from her didn't look like a criminal. He looked like a victim. "Tyler," Detective Chen said gently. "I'm Detective Chen. I know today has been really hard, but I need to ask you some questions about what happened. Is that okay?" Tyler nodded. "I'm recording this conversation, and everything you say can be used in court. Do you understand?" "Yes." "Okay. Let's start from the beginning. Tell me what happened today." Tyler stared at his hands. "My dad came home drunk. He was always drunk. He started yelling at my mom about dinner. Then he yelled at me." "What did he say to you?" "That I was disrespectful. That I was useless. That he was ashamed to have me as a son." Tyler's voice was flat, emotionless, as if he was reading from a script. "He said that stuff my whole life." "Got the gun." "Where did you get the gun?" "From my dad's closet. I took it this morning." Detective Chen leaned forward. "Tyler, why did you take the gun this morning?" Tyler was silent for a long moment. Then, "Because I knew something bad was going to happen. It always does." "Did you plan to shoot your father?" "I don't know. I wanted to be able to protect my mom. And myself." "So when your father came into your room, you had the gun. What happened?" He came at me. I told him to stay back. He didn't listen. He kept coming. He said I didn't have the guts to shoot him. Tyler's eyes filled with tears. So I did. Tyler, had your father ever hurt you before? All the time. Can you give me examples? And Tyler did. For the next 30 minutes, he described years of abuse. The beatings with a belt. The punches and kicks. The time his father choked him until he passed out. The time his father threw him down the stairs. The verbal abuse, being called worthless, stupid, a mistake. Detective Chen took notes, her jaw tight. Tyler, did you ever tell anyone about this? Once. A teacher in 2nd grade, CPS, came to our house. But my dad lied, and my mom backed him up. I got in trouble for telling. What kind of trouble? My dad beat me with his belt until I couldn't sit down for a week. He said if I ever told anyone again, he'd kill my mom. Did you believe him? Yes. Detective Chen sat back. This wasn't just a shooting. This was a child who'd been tortured for 13 years and finally fought back. Tyler, when you shot your father, were you afraid he was going to hurt you or your mother? Yes. He was going to kill us. I know he was. How do you know? Because he'd been saying it for years. And the way he looked at me. I've seen that look before. That's the look he gets right before he really hurts someone. Detective Chen made a note. Self-defense claim, Darnotura. Verify pattern of abuse. Tyler, do you regret shooting your father? Tyler looked directly at Detective Chen for the first time. His eyes were red, but they were clear. No. Why not? Because now he can't hurt us anymore. Of long-term domestic violence. Evidence collected from the Carter home. Medical records obtained via warrant from Kern Medical Center. Angela Carter, 17 emergency room visits in 13 years. Oh, broken wrist, 2003, claimed she fell downstairs. Concussion, 2005, claimed she slipped in shower. Broken nose, 2007, claimed she walked into a door. Cracked ribs, 2009, claimed she fell off a ladder. I dislocated shoulder, 2011, claimed car accident. Black eye, split lip, 2013, claimed mugging. Tyler Carter, 8 emergency room visits. I broken arm, 2007, age 6. Marcus claimed Tyler fell off bike. Concussion, 2009, age 8. Marcus claimed Tyler fell from tree. He bruised ribs, 2011, age 10. Marcus claimed sports injury. A black eye, 2012, age 11. Marcus claimed schoolyard fight. Photographs taken by SEIOI. Multiple holes punched in walls throughout the house. Broken dishes and furniture. Blood spatter on Tyler's bedroom wall, later determined to be Tyler's blood from a previous incident. Alcohol bottles throughout the house. Over 40 empty beer cans and liquor bottles. Tyler's journal, found hidden under his mattress. Detectives found a spiral notebook containing entries dating back 2 years. Selected excerpts. March 15, 2012. Dad hit Mom again today. She said she's fine, but I can tell she's not. I hate him. July 3, 2012. Dad came home drunk and threw me into the wall. My head hit hard. Mom cried. Dad said if I tell anyone, he'll make it worse. November 8, 2012. I wish Dad would just die. Is that wrong? Am I a bad person for wishing that? February 14, 2013. Dad beat Mom so bad today she couldn't get up. I wanted to help, but I was too scared. I'm a coward. June 10, 2014. Dad kicked me in the ribs today. I think something's broken. I can barely breathe. How much longer can I survive this? June 14, 2014. Tomorrow is Father's Day. I'm supposed to give my dad a card. But I don't have a dad. I have a monster. Child Protective Services record. Regarding domestic disturbance. Case closed. Angela Carter denied abuse. Pineland, 2012. Report from school nurse regarding Tyler's frequent injuries. Case closed. Injuries attributed to active child by parents. A police reports. Way 2006. Domestic disturbance call to Carter residence. Angela told officers she and Marcus had an argument, but it didn't get physical. No arrest. 2008. Domestic disturbance call. Neighbor reported hearing screaming and breaking glass. Angela denied abuse. Officers noted visible bruising, but Angela claimed she fell. No arrest. 2010. Domestic disturbance call. Marcus arrested for public intoxication and disorderly conduct after threatening neighbors. Held overnight. Released. A 2012. Domestic disturbance call. Tyler called 911 saying his father was hurting my mom. When officers arrived, Angela recanted, said it was a misunderstanding. No arrest. A school records. Tyler's teachers and counselors were interviewed. Their statements painted a consistent picture. Ms. Patricia Nguyen, second grade teacher, 2008. Tyler was such a sweet boy, but always so quiet. He had bruises sometimes. I reported it to CPEs, but nothing came of it. I've always felt guilty about that. Mr. James Roberts, fifth grade teacher, 2011. Tyler was withdrawn. He didn't play with other kids. He seemed scared all the time. I asked if everything was okay at home, and he just said yes and wouldn't elaborate. Mrs. Sandra Lopez, seventh grade counselor, 2014. Tyler's grades had been declining. He seemed depressed. I recommended therapy to his parents multiple times, but they never followed through. I wish I'd pushed harder. A witness statements. Neighbors. Rebecca Martinez, neighbor, lived next door for 6 years. We heard fighting all the time. Yelling, crashing, sometimes crying. We called the police a few times, but nothing ever changed. Marcus was a mean drunk. You could hear him screaming at his wife and kid from the street. David Thompson, neighbor, lived across the street for 8 years. I saw Marcus hit Angela once, right in the driveway. She dropped groceries, and he just backhanded her across the face. I almost called the cops, but my wife said, "We shouldn't get involved in other people's business." I regret that. And the bruises. I wanted to help, but I didn't know how. The legal dilemma, to charge or not to charge. On June 18, 2014, 3 days after the shooting, the Kern County District Attorney's Office faced a decision that would ignite fierce debate across the nation. Should 13-year-old Tyler James Carter be charged with attempted murder? District Attorney Stephen Mitchell called a meeting with his senior prosecutors, the investigating detectives, and representatives from Child Protective Services. The conference room at the DA's office was tense. On one side of the table sat Deputy District Attorney Karen Flores, a hard-charging prosecutor with a reputation for never backing down. She believed in law and order, in holding people accountable regardless of age or circumstance. On the other side sat Deputy Public Defender Raymond Ortiz, who'd been assigned to Tyler's case. He was 35, had grown up in poverty himself, and was passionate about defending juveniles caught in impossible situations. District Attorney Mitchell opened the meeting. Let's lay out the facts. Tyler Carter, age 13, shot his father with a .38 caliber revolver. One shot to the chest. The father survived but is paralyzed. Tyler admits to the shooting. He obtained the weapon earlier that day, which suggests some degree of planning. However, Mitchell gestured to the stack of files on the table. We have extensive evidence of long-term abuse, medical records, CPS reports, witness statements, Tyler's journal. The mother corroborates the abuse. Even the father refuses to press charges or cooperate with our investigation. Karen Flores spoke up. With all due respect, sir, none of that changes the fact that Tyler shot an unarmed man. Yes, there was abuse. Yes, it was terrible. But shooting someone who's not actively attacking you isn't self-defense. It's revenge. Raymond Ortiz leaned forward. Marcus Carter was attacking Tyler. He grabbed him by the throat, choked him, threw him around. Then he attacked Tyler's mother. Tyler ran to his room, got a gun, and when his father came after him, Tyler defended himself. He obtained the gun that morning, Flores countered. Hours before the shooting. That's premeditation. He was waiting for an opportunity. I interviewed Tyler for 2 hours. That kid is traumatized. He's been living in a war zone his entire life. When I asked him if he regretted shooting his father, he said no, because now his father can't hurt them anymore. That's not a cold-blooded killer. That's a victim who fought back. Flores wasn't swayed. We can't set a precedent that children can shoot their parents and claim self-defense. Where does it end? Every abused kid gets a free pass to commit murder. It's not murder, Ortiz said. Marcus Carter isn't dead because our trauma surgeon saved him. Tyler shot him in the chest from 6 feet away. That's lethal intent. Tyler is 13 years old, Ortiz emphasized. 13. He weighs 90 pounds. His father weighs 200. Tyler had no other way to stop him. District Attorney Mitchell raised his hand. All right, here's the situation. Legally, I have several options. Option 1. Charge Tyler as a juvenile with attempted murder. If convicted, he'd be held in juvenile detention until age 25. Option 2. Charge Tyler as an adult with attempted murder. If convicted, he could face 15 years to life. Option 3. Charge Tyler with a lesser offense, assault with a deadly weapon, reckless endangerment. Shorter sentence acknowledges the complexity of the situation. Option 4. Don't charge him at all. Declare it justifiable self-defense. Flores immediately spoke. Option 4 is off the table. We can't not charge him. He shot someone. Even if that someone was trying to kill him. Ortiz challenged. Was Marcus trying to kill Tyler in that moment? Or was Tyler afraid Marcus might kill him eventually? There's a difference. Mitchell turned to Dr. Sarah Hoffman, a psychologist who'd been brought in to evaluate Tyler. Dr. Hoffman, you've spent time with Tyler. What's your assessment? Dr. Hoffman opened her file. Tyler is suffering from severe PTSD, anxiety, and depression, all consistent with long-term abuse. In our sessions, he described living in constant fear. He described his father as unpredictable and violent. He genuinely believed that on June 15th, if he didn't stop his father would kill him or his mother. When you live with chronic abuse, your perception of danger is heightened. You learn to recognize warning signs. Tyler said his father had that look, the look that meant serious violence was coming. For Tyler, shooting his father wasn't revenge. It was... Mitchell rubbed his temples. This was exactly the kind of case that could define, or destroy, a career. Here's my concern, Mitchell said. If we don't charge him, we send a message that shooting people is okay if you have a good reason. If we do charge him, we send a message that we don't care about abuse victims. There's no winning here. Then, let's do what's right, Ortiz said. Not what's politically safe. After 3 hours of debate, District Attorney Mitchell made his decision. We're charging Tyler Carter as a juvenile with attempted voluntary manslaughter. Not murder, manslaughter. It acknowledges that he acted in the heat of passion, under circumstances that would cause a reasonable person to act rashly. It acknowledges the abuse while still holding him accountable. He'll be tried in juvenile court, and if convicted, he'll serve time in juvenile detention, not adult prison. Flores looked dissatisfied but nodded. It's a compromise. Ortiz also nodded. It's fair. We can work with that. Mitchell stood. Karen, prepare the charges. Raymond, inform your client. And everyone, be ready for this to blow up in the media. A 13-year-old shooting his abusive father on Father's Day. This is going to be national news. He was right. The media firestorm. On June 19, 2014, 4 days after the shooting, The Bakersfield, California newspaper broke the story. 13-year-old shoots abusive father on Father's Day, charged with attempted manslaughter. By that evening, the story had gone viral. CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, and every major network picked it up. The cable news cycle exploded with hot takes. Conservative commentators: "This is what happens when we excuse violence. A child shot his father and people are calling him a hero. We've lost our moral compass." Entire episode to when children kill their abusers. Nancy Grace screamed nightly about a 13-year-old with a gun. Where were the parents? Oh, wait. The parent was the problem. Social media erupted. #JusticeForTiller and #FreeTillerCarter trended on Twitter. A Change.org petition demanding charges be dropped collected 500,000 signatures in 3 days. The comment sections were vicious. He's a child who defended himself. How is this even a question? If he's old enough to plan and execute a shooting, he's old enough to face consequences. The father got what he deserved. Should have thought about that before beating his kid for 13 years. What message does this send? That kids can shoot their parents and claim abuse? CPS failed this kid. The police failed this kid. The schools failed this kid. And now we're going to punish him? Tyler's case became a Rorschach test. People saw in it whatever they wanted to see. To some, he was a victim who'd been pushed to his breaking point. To others, he was a dangerous child who needed to be held accountable. The Carter family's neighbors were hounded by reporters. Angela Carter was photographed leaving the police station, her face hidden behind sunglasses, and the photos were plastered across tabloids with headlines like "Mother of Teen Shooter." Did she know? Marcus Carter, recovering in the hospital, was visited by reporters who snuck past security. He refused all interviews. His hospital room door had a sign: "No visitors. No press. Leave me alone." Tyler's school, East Bakersfield Middle School, was besieged. Students were interviewed. Teachers were cornered. One classmate told reporters Tyler was the nicest kid. He never hurt anyone. If he did this, it's because he had to. The pressure on everyone involved was immense. District Attorney Mitchell received death threats from people who thought he was prosecuting a victim. He also received death threats from people who thought he was going soft on juvenile crime. Public defender Raymond Ortiz was inundated with offers from high-profile defense attorneys offering to take the case pro bono. He turned them all down. Tyler needs someone who cares about him, not someone who wants to be on TV, he told reporters. Dr. Hoffman, his psychologist, visited him daily. "How are you feeling, Tyler?" she asked during one session. "I don't know. Numb, I guess." "Do you understand what's happening? The trial? They're going to decide if I'm a criminal or not. How do you feel about that?" Tyler was quiet for a long time. Then, "I keep thinking about my dad, about what I did to him." "Do you regret it?" "I regret that it had to happen, but I don't regret protecting my mom, or myself." Tyler looked at Dr. Hoffman. "Does that make me a bad person?" "No, Tyler. It makes you human." The preliminary hearing, July 2, 2014. Before Tyler's case could go to trial, the prosecution had to prove there was sufficient evidence at a preliminary hearing. The hearing took place in Kern County Juvenile Court before Judge Patricia Ramirez. The courtroom was closed to the public due to Tyler's age, but a pool reporter was allowed inside. Tyler sat at the defense table wearing clothes his mother had brought, khaki pants, and a button-down shirt that was too big for him. He looked even smaller than usual, and his hands shook as he gripped the edge of the table. Angela Carter sat in the gallery, her eyes never leaving her son. Deputy District Attorney Karen Flores called 4 witnesses. 1. Officer David Hernandez described the crime scene and Tyler's confession. 2. Paramedic Luis Gomez testified about Marcus Carter's injuries. 3. Dr. Sarah Patel explained the severity of the gunshot wound and the permanent paralysis. 4. Detective Lisa Chen presented evidence including Tyler's journal, the timeline of events, and Tyler's statements. Raymond Ortiz cross-examined each witness, focusing on establishing the pattern of abuse. Ortiz: Officer Hernandez, when you arrived at the Carter home, did you observe any injuries on Angela Carter? Hernandez: Yes. She had a fresh cut above her eyebrow and bruising on her arms. Ortiz: And on Tyler? Hernandez: He had bruising on his neck, consistent with being grabbed or choked. Ortiz: Did Angela Carter tell you how she got her injuries? Hernandez: She said Marcus, her husband, had hit her. Ortiz: And did she mention anything about prior abuse? Carter committed attempted voluntary manslaughter. However, I am also persuaded that there are significant mitigating factors, specifically years of documented abuse and a reasonable belief on the part of the defendant that he was in imminent danger. This case will proceed to trial, but I am ordering a comprehensive psychological evaluation of the defendant and a full investigation into the... Tyler's trial date was set. The question remained, would a jury see Tyler as a victim who defended himself, or as a child who'd committed an inexcusable act of violence? The answer would come in 2 months.